Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a very quick kind of time-lapse version of my live stream where I was creating the Exploding Love Letter Stack album, which is something that I created and designed for the Shabby Spring Collection Hop, and I wanted to share that process with you guys so that if you want to create your own, you more or less know how to go about it. So this is pretty much the whole inspiration for this was the Love Letter Stack bundle, or the Love Letter Bundle Stack, however you want to say it. But it's something that's been around for actually quite some time, but I've never seen it done in an album. So I think this is a first for this type of project, as far as creating this type of album. And it is made using envelopes. And pretty much what I used to create this was I recycled a pasta box, and I pretty much cut that apart in order to have my covers and my spine. And then what I did is that I took an envelope apart, and then I used that to create my template in order to be able to decorate the envelopes more seamlessly and without having to do so much effort. Now you can always feel free to use either the envelopes the way that you have them, or to create your own envelopes. Let's say you have a envelope punch board or something of that nature, then you can pretty much create any size envelopes and make this album even larger if you wish to do so. I have all of the information as far as the materials and the size of everything that I use. Will be in the description area down below, so make sure that you check that out if you want specifics as far as the sizes and everything like that. Because at this point in time, I'm doing this already a couple days away. I know that it's roughly about 5 by 7, give or take. Let me see if I can just do a rough guesstimate on the one that I have here, which is this black one that I've been building so far. Um, so yeah, it's about 7 1/4 and 7 1/4 by 5. So yeah, like I said, roughly about 5 by 7 is the dimensions of the album. And then the envelopes obviously are a little bit smaller, just a little bit smaller than what the covers are on the inside of the envelope. I mean, on the inside of the cover. So more or less what you see me doing here is um, I'm using tape in order to just kind of bind my all my sections together, you know, to put the front cover, the spine, and the back cover. Um, and I'm using masking tape for that because it's very easy and it's flexible, and it allows my book to have, you know, give back and forth. So because the masking tape is very light and I'm going with a black and white theme, I'm going in and I'm just coloring in, you know, just the folds of the books on the front and on the back, because those things might be visible, and just in case they are, I just want to make sure that you don't see so much of that white masking tape. So I'm just going into them and just coloring them in. This is not necessarily something you have to do. If you have another way of creating your albums, then you can by all means go ahead and do so. The magic to this album is not necessarily the way that the album itself is built, but the way that you lay the envelopes on the inside of the album is really what gives this album its uniqueness, um, and allows it to look like everything is kind of falling out from the inside. And that's really what makes this kind of album, you know, a little bit different and, you know, super cute as well. And these kinds of albums are awesome for all different kinds of occasions. And what's even better about these is this is not just the kind of album that you will stick in a shelf. This is the kind of album that becomes a centerpiece. This is the kind of album that you want to display. You want to have it out on your mantle, because it's a beautiful centerpiece all on its own. It's very decorative, and you're going to want to show that. So pretty much the whole basis for how I created this is keeping that in mind, that this is something that I would like to have out. I would like to have this visible. Even if I don't end up putting pictures in the inside, or if I don't save any memorabilia in the inside, I'll still be able to display this, and it'll still look super cute, even if it's empty. Um, so here you kind of see me adding, you know, just covering everything up, because again, it's black and white, the theme. So I'm just using some recollection cardstock and just cutting all my pieces down to the sizes that I need them to be. And for you, these sizes might be different depending again on the size of your envelopes. You might have to adjust the size of your album and how you're creating that. But pretty much use the envelope size as your guide onto how you want to create your album. Um, because even though it's okay for them to kind of stick out a little bit, you want to at least have the dimension of that be kind of in proportion, just because of the way that the envelopes themselves sit on the inside. Okay, so pretty much these are going to be the covers, and this is just a preliminary cover for the album itself, just to cover up all of that chipboard and just, you know, pasta box look to make it look a little bit better, you know. So I'm cutting off the corners, and I'm going to do that to both of them. And again, if you want more fuller detail and just me kind of walking you really through the process and discussing my thoughts and so on and so forth through it, and you know, any tips and stuff like that, then you might want to go ahead and watch the full live stream of this. It is about 2 hours, maybe a little bit longer than that. I think it's a little bit longer than 2 hours. It's actually almost cutting to 3. But if you have the time, then by all means, you know, you can watch it. Or you can watch that in parts as well. And so I'm going to glue these things on. And again, just go ahead and proceed to covering, you know, just the front and the back and everything. And you want to do this in parts, you guys, because if you do it with one sheet and you cover the whole thing, then the minute that you go fold your album, it's going to crack. So you want to do this in parts. There are many tutorials on YouTube as far as how to create your own album. This is just a very inexpensive, and I do mean extremely inexpensive way of creating an album. It's just by recycling some pasta boxes, pancake boxes, cereal boxes, whatever you might have available. Even the process of adding the envelopes on the inside, you can add as many envelopes as you want. You just have to make sure that your spine is a little bit longer, you know, a little bit wider, not so much longer, but definitely wider, so that you can accommodate for more envelopes. On this particular design, I only used 4. So I will use 4 in the inside, and then when I go to the second part of this video, I'm going to use 2 envelopes in the front, 2 envelopes in the back, and then everything else in between. And yes, you guys, as humongous as these albums look, like the one that I just shared with you guys that I did for the hop, as humongous as it looks, it only has 2 envelopes in the front and 2 envelopes in the back, and then just the 4 envelopes on the inside. So it's just everything else that you add to it, all the other details, little journaling cards, little bits and pieces of paper that you add in there, just make it look like it's just so much more stuff. And what's cool is that you can use your scraps. You can use, let's say you have that 2-inch strip of your scrapbook paper that you love, but you don't know what to do with because it's actually not big enough for anything. Go ahead and pull some stamps out, and if it's one-sided, stamp the back, leave your pretty print on the front, and you can cut that into like journaling card sizes, and you can definitely use that for this type of an album, this type of a project. So really cool. And then I'm just using Aleene's tacky glue in case anybody's wondering what that is, in case you guys don't recognize it by any chance, which I think everybody knows what that glue looks like by now, but just in case, it's Aleene's tacky glue, and it's readily available at your Dollar Tree stores. So for the spine itself, I created an accordion, and pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sitting the envelopes in there. And I'm going to be more or less slicing just the bottom, maybe 1/8 of an inch off the bottoms of the envelopes, just to make sure that I can kind of slide that over. Now, I'm sharing with you guys pretty much here is just how I made it, you know, kind of look the way I look, because this spine system alone is not enough. So what I created for this to make it work is I made like little additional tabs that I went ahead and glued onto the spine itself, so that I can bring that envelope to a higher position. So by doing that, I allow myself the ability to kind of really bring that envelope really high up on one end, and be able to kind of bring it down all the way down on the other. That way the envelope still has something to grab onto. If you try to do that with the regular spine, it just wouldn't work. You wouldn't be able to do it. You need to keep those, you know, envelopes leveled when it's on a regular type of, you know, spine, or hinge, I should say hinge. Because that's really what that is. It's an accordion hinge. So when you're putting the envelopes on a regular accordion hinge, and it's just flat like that, you really don't have anywhere to grab onto, and therefore you cannot give your envelopes height, you know, and you also don't have the ability to give them different angles. By adding these tabs onto your hinge, then you're actually allowing it to, you know, you're allowing yourself to be able to position them in different places. Okay. And so I went ahead and glued on my hinges, and pretty much it looks like a file folder when you're looking at it from the side. And you just want to put one in the front, one in the middle, one towards the end, and then repeat the process. Front, middle, ends, front, middle, ends. And you want to do that for as many, you know, envelopes as you're planning to place on there. And now I'm going to go ahead and get my envelopes ready. And again, like I said before, I'm going to go ahead and just trim off a little bit off the bottom. just so that I have that envelope opens in the bottom. And I'm going to repeat this for the 4 that I'm going to use on the inside. So as you can see, I'm kind of demoing with you now how you can kind of bring it down to one end and then be able to bring it up to the other. And then that just gives the illusion of the envelopes are kind of falling out of the album. And just remember, you guys, I love sharing with you guys. I mean, I really do. Just, you know, this has never been done before. So if you do it, you know, just say hello, you know. Source of inspiration is always awesome. I know I always give people the, you know, their credit where the credit is due, because this is what YouTube is about. It's about sharing, and we all grow from each other. And it always makes the person feel awesome when they know that you inspired them to create something that they've never done before. And I always love to give people their credit where their credit is due, because I know it makes them feel good as well. So plus it's nice, you know, they went through the trouble of, you know, sharing with you guys, you know, so it's just good. It's a good way to give back. So here I'm just kind of this inking up my edges, because as you guys can see, this doesn't really fit my gold, my black and white theme, because it's got all gold edges. So I just used some black ink and just kind of went around the edges, because that's gonna really show. And because the way that I created, the way that I did my envelopes, I didn't just make my envelopes by hand. I just kind of decorated the envelopes, if you will. I took one envelope, took that envelope apart, section by section, and then I used that as my template in order to create all my little puzzle pieces that were going to go onto my envelope. And I'm just distressing all the edges, and inking all of the edges up, and then just assembling them as, you know, as I need to assemble them. So that's pretty much what you see me doing here. It's just kind of assembling all of the pieces. Again, if you're making your envelopes from scratch, then you don't have to worry about that. As well as if the envelopes that you already have are exactly what you need them to be, then you're good to go. Then you just have to pretty much create the hinges and insert them into your album, and that pretty much cuts your time down by a lot. But what I did is I pre-cut everything. I had everything pretty much organized and ready. So when I went live, you know, it was more or less of smooth sailing, and I just could go right into the decorating process. This is also really cool if you want to do like a mix and match type of envelope where you have different pieces covering different things. So this is also an alternative for doing that. So very simple, and I don't have to worry about my envelopes cracking, because the ones that I've tried to do before, they always crack on me. The minute that I fold them, it's like the fiber just goes to heck in a handbasket. So this pretty much alleviates me having to worry about stressing over the little cracks, because it drives me crazy. But yeah, so I'm going to do the same thing for all of them. I'm going to distress them all, ink all the edges up, and then I'm just going to go and glue down my pieces one by one on all my envelopes, and get those kind of ready and going. In case you've never caught me lives, my lives can be very entertaining, you guys. Many of you guys know I have a very crazy sense of humor. So, I love to laugh, love to make others laugh. So, if you've never caught my live stream, then make sure that you do, you know, subscribe to my channel and hit that little bell. And I'm trying to get back on going live every single weekend. So, it's going to be every single Saturday at 6 p.m. I'm going to try my best, you guys. Next Saturday coming up, today is the 27th of May. Next Saturday coming up, I'm going to do the final part of this, which is going to be the part where I decorate the spine on the outside, as well as the finish covering of the insides, and also add a few other little embellishments here and there. So if you haven't caught part 1 or part 2 and you want to catch part 3, then feel free to join me on Saturday. Also, for all the people that have been a part of the last 2 live streams where I've been creating this album, the one you're currently watching now is part 1. Next coming up is going to be part 2, which is the one that I just did yesterday, the 26th. For everybody that participated in the comments in the chat room, not the comments of the video after the fact, but they were live and direct, you know, engaging in the chat room. I'm doing a giveaway, you guys. I'm going to give this away to one of you lucky people. I don't know who it's going to be yet. And pretty much to win that, all you have to do is watch this video. You have to watch the second part video, and then when I release the third part video, you need to watch that as well. And if you want to get an extra entry, then be a part of the live stream. You know, come hang out with us, have some fun, have some laughs, engage in the chat room, because you need to be visible. Because I am going to be using those chat logs later on to add extra entries for all the people that were there and that took the time out of their day to come and hang out. So you know, that's pretty much that. Now, to win this, you have to communicate, you have to leave a comment on all the sped up versions. So this is one sped up version. I'm going to have another sped up version of how I went ahead and started decorating the covers. And then I'm going to have the final sped up version after the live stream of how I went ahead and just finished off the whole thing. So in total, communicate, leave a comment on part 1, part 2, and part 3 of how to create this. And pretty much in your comments, I just need to know that you were watching and that you were engaged. So I need you to tell me, you know, things that you learned about this or things that you liked about this, you know, if this is something that you would try. But I want to make sure that whoever wins this is somebody that took the time and really watched the process, and that, you know, is going to appreciate, you know, the whole process of everything that it takes, not just to create the live streams, but also to come back and do a sped up version for you guys. You know, I want to make sure that whoever wins this is somebody that, you know, has gone through the whole process of watching it, you know, and things like that. So make sure that you comment and just, you know, give me a comment. Though I appreciate the you know, thanks for sharing the TFS. I appreciate that. I, you know, I thank you guys for stopping by, you know, but that doesn't really let me know that you watched the video. That just more or less lets me know, like, hey, I was here. But I have no idea if you watched the video or not. So although I do appreciate you guys stopping by, and I know some of you do, you know, go ahead and leave the thumbs up along with the, you know, TFS. I would really love to hear more from you. That, if possible, that would be awesome. You know, so yes, thank you so much for that. Yeah, just give me your thoughts and your ideas. You know, if you have any thoughts on, hey, you know what, this would be cool if you did this, or if you did that, or can you do this, or can you do that, or, you know, any tips, suggestions, whatever the case may be. Like I said, this is a community that helps each other, and we all grow at different levels, but we all grow together. We are one working organism, if you will, and we all kind of need each other in a way, you know. Um, that's just, you know, how things kind of work. So I appreciate you guys. I know that you guys appreciate me. So let's just keep that love growing and showing, and let's do it. And thumbs up. So more or less my envelopes are done, and that was my little chatting and ranting for right now, so that you guys can finish watching the rest of this. So now I'm just kind of, you know, trimming off any little bits and pieces that are popping off, just maybe because my cutting wasn't the greatest. But now I'm going to start positioning this. So as you can see, I'm kind of using that hinge to kind of level off, you know, my envelopes. And you might need to trim here and there, depending on the size of your envelopes and how you need it. So more or less, you see the little tab? I'm not going to glue on one side. I'm only going to glue on one side of the tab. I'm not going to glue on both sides. So I'm going to glue on one side of the tab, on the actual little tab piece, but I am going to glue along the base on both sides, right? And then I'm going to position that envelope so that it's really tilted upward on one end and kind of tilted down on the other. And we're going to do this kind of in opposite directions for each of the envelopes that we're putting in here when it comes to the tabs that are on the ends. Now for the tab that is on the center, you want to make sure that you get that envelope as high up as you possibly can, that is still kind of touching that, that edge, but again, only adding the glue on one side, the front side of your little tabbed, you know, little things there. Don't add it on both sides, because then you're going to close off your envelope on one end. So you got to add it only on one, so that, you know, it sticks, it holds your envelope still, but at the same time, you still have the full capacity of the envelope, okay? And more or less just kind of going along and trimming up any little bits and pieces that I might need. So on one side, and then as you can see, just more or less just along that little top edge. And I want to have this as high up as I possibly can. And this one is a little bit more on the leveled side. So we have one that's kind of leveled and everything else. That way everything kind of shows. Every layer shows behind every other layer of envelopes. And just trying to get it as high up as you possibly can on that tab. And then just making sure that everything is secure, you know, nice and secure. And I'm going to use some ribbon to just, you know, kind of decorate that bottom edge so that I don't have, so that it looks more complete, the look looks more complete. That's optional. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You know, you can decorate it however you wish. And here more or less sharing with you guys what I'm going to be using as far as my little journaling cards. Now these are journaling cards, but these can also be like little photo places. You can definitely add, you know, little journaling cards, but you can add a photo on the very first one, and then you can add more photos on the inside. You can add photos behind the envelope, on the other side of the envelope. So you have several different places that you can go ahead and add photos on here. Um, this is just me just adding these journaling cards for purely decorative purposes. But you can definitely use, you know, take this up another notch and add some pictures and add, you know, different things here. They don't necessarily have to be journaling cards. You can turn this into a full-blown little album. You can even create like little plastic pockets. About that, I have my kitties walking too. So like I was saying, you can definitely like create little plastic pouches and put some pictures in there, some for keepsake, but you can slide in and out. Even like the baseball card holders, you can cut those apart and use those little squares to add like little pictures in case you want to make sure that the pictures are protected. And you could definitely do something like that. They also have these really cute plastic overlays that you can create little pockets with that as well for pictures. So there's many different things. I mean, you could definitely take this design and this style and just take it to a whole new level, with just the way that you incorporate the different elements, and how many elements you incorporate as well, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my little journaling cards, and I'm doing this with foam tape, and I'm just kind of positioning them how I want. And again, I want everything to kind of look like it's been tossed, and it just kind of fell in a certain kind of random order. So the whole aesthetic of it is just adding these journaling cards, so that they pop out from the back, and it just makes it look like everything is kind of falling out, like you have an overstuffed suitcase or something. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off adding the ribbons, um, and just wrapping that around the whole bottom, going around the envelope. This kind of helps to hide any little imperfect cuts, or anything that's kind of sticking out from a place maybe that you don't want it to stick out from. And you can pretty much do this with lace or any other kind of material that you want. Even washi tape if you wanted to add washi tape and you felt secure in your washi tape. I don't trust washi tape so much because it tends to peel off, but to each their own. But you can do this in so many different ways, you guys. And I would really love to see what you guys do with this. If you end up creating something like this, like let me know. I would love to see it. Honestly, I would really just love to see how you guys go about creating something like this and just your spin on it. Um, even if you end up changing certain things or whatever the case may be, I would still love to see it. It would be super cool, super cool. Although I do think it's quite perfect on its own, if I do say so myself. But yes, super awesome, and I hope that you guys like it. I know it's definitely something fun for me to do. I have really been loving paper crafting since the beginning of this year. I always did kind of like paper crafting to a certain extent, but for me it was more like mixed media and stuff like that. But being a part of these hops and just the different things that we've been doing throughout all of the different hops has really kind of opened up my eyes to different ways of crafting. I have learned so much from the ladies that have joined, you know, the different hops, and just from the things that we have created and just the different ways, the different perspectives of just everything. It's just been super fun and amazing. And you know, I'm so happy. I feel so blessed. Me and Mom to Create as well. You know, we're just like so overjoyed with just the result and just how awesome everybody giving it their all and just the beautiful things that everybody's making. And we're also learning a ton from it as well. You know, we're also learning a ton from it as well. So super cool. So here, I'm only going to add glue on the two ends of the accordion hinge, right? I want to leave that center loose so that I am able to kind of fold this back, because initially it's going to be a little stiff, you guys, just because of the way that the envelopes are. But you just need to kind of fold it over and over and over. You'll probably see me go through that now once I glue this on. You're going to see that it's kind of stiff at the beginning just because the fibers in the paper haven't really broken in yet. You want to make sure that you give yourself a lot of room. You know, that you use a wide piece of paper. You're not kind of stinging yourself out on creating the hinge, because the hinge is really what creates the magic for this thing to work. So I'm kind of just going over with a bone folder so that all the pages kind of lay down flat and I'm able to lay them down flat. And the more that you know, you open it and close it and bring them back and down, the better that it'll become. Um, and the easier it'll be for them to come back and forth. Like this one already, the one that you're watching now, it already opens, the envelopes go back and forth no problem. And that kind of happened, you know, it happens right away. So just make sure that you work with it a little bit, you know, each page, just bring it all the way down, score it, you know, flip it in the other direction, score it, just like you would with anything else. So now I'm trying to figure out more or less accent-wise what else I can do with these envelopes. I chose pretty decorative paper, so you really don't even need to add anything else to this if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. Um, but the rest of this video is just going to be kind of seeing how I just add little things here and there. At the end of it all, I just decided to keep it rather simple, and all I did was add. I added. Let me just look at it. What I did is I added some rhinestones and some butterflies, and I did that to each of the envelopes, and just added a few little rhinestones here and there to just give it a little, you know, a little bling. Um, and then that's about it for that one. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed, you know, all this awesome chit chat and communication. Like I said, if you want more specific information as far as how this was made, then I definitely do recommend that you go ahead and you watch the live stream. You know, watch the full stream. You know, whenever you have time, you can always come back to it and catch up on it again, because YouTube also tends to save your last spot where you were, and come back and watch it full time. Maybe you can create it while you're watching it. All the items that you're going to need are going to be in the description area down below. So if you have some pasta boxes or some boxes to recycle, and you got yourself some envelopes, then by all means, you know, grab yourself some tools and some materials, sit down, put the video on, and we can go through this together. And once you're done, show me. You can follow me at Design Elemental on Instagram. I always have my email down below as well, so if you don't have that, you can always email it to me. I would love, love, love to see it. And yes, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and on to the next part. Have an awesome day. Bye.